The suspect that is charged in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, fighting extradition back here to New York. Luigi Mangione appeared in a Pennsylvania courtroom yesterday. You can see him shouting angrily as he entered the building. Law enforcement now focusing on alleged writings by Mangione for clues about a potential motive. We're going to speak to his lawyer.
Listen, I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report it accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point, and so I'm not even aware of what any charges.
Hey yo, what it do, crew? It's your boy Elijah X coming at you in the flesh. Today we're here to talk about the shooting of Brian Thompson of United Healthcare and Luigi Mangione, the alleged suspect of the shooting. Now, first and foremost, this case is very odd, very slippery. The way that, one, he shot Brian in public and was able to get away in general, and it took him however many days to find him. He shouldn't even been able to get out of New York in the first place. The way that the shooter went about his assassination certainly didn't lend to someone with an emotional vendetta against Brian Thompson. It looks like he just took him out so he was not a player on the board. That's my personal opinion, because when someone has an emotional connection to a crime that they're committing, there would be more outward distress that you would be able to visually see in the action itself. Given that we have such a visceral video of the shooting itself, it doesn't strike me as a person who was angered, flustered, and overall just discontent due to healthcare circumstances. It looks like a person who was given a location, who was given a specific time for their target, and had an escape route pre-planned. This does not seem like just some off-of-the-cuff, hey, this man has to go down ordeal. Now, of course, they've captured him by now, but there's some very odd things happening that I believe we need to address. Of course, because they've put a face to the man, everybody's just all up in arms and saying, wow, either the CEO deserved it, which he didn't, or they're saying, man, this guy's a hero, which ties into the last thing. But none of this shit makes sense, in other words. And I'll keep describing as we go, but we're going to hop into the first video, and I will continue on what exactly I'm referring to as that happens. So let's go on and move on to the next portion.
Good morning, Robin. The 26-year-old suspect is now being held at this prison without bail after fighting extradition and shouting those fighting words that officials now fear could be considered a call to action.
An outburst from Luigi Mangione, shackled and handcuffed as he was dragged into court.
As a completely out of touch, and an insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Sheriff's deputies wrestling him inside. He refused to waive extradition to New York, where he's charged with murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
When I entered my appearance, and for the record, he's pleading not guilty to this. And I've seen zero evidence at this point.
The judge denied bail. Mangione kept quiet as he left court, head down. He's a threat to no one, but this morning the NYPD is alarmed by these posters outside the New York Stock Exchange and social media posts suggesting Mangione is a martyr.
We do a lot of work in the online space. As part of that, we'll surge resources, protective resources around the city wherever we need to when we're anticipating and dealing with a big uptick in threats.
In a confidential assessment obtained by ABC News, the NYPD says Mangione considered Thompson's murder a symbolic takedown of United Healthcare over perceived corruption, adding the suspect likely views himself as a hero of sorts who has finally decided to act upon such injustices. A copy of the suspect's alleged writings said United Healthcare was among corporations that have simply gotten too powerful, and these parasites simply had it coming. Mangione also referenced a spiral notebook that sources tell ABC News contained writings about the Unabomber, but how Mangione thought explosives could kill innocent people. The writings were found, police say, when Mangione was arrested at this McDonald's, seen eating a hash brown moments before.
My one friend made the comment, he thought it was, he goes, don't that look like the shooter from New York?
An employee called police.
The worker that took his order, she said his eyes and his eyebrows. She just thought it was him.
Police say the gun Mangione had looks very similar to the gun used in the murder, capable of firing 9mm rounds and made at least in part with a 3D printer. Earlier, the suspect tried checking into this Altoona motel, but no room was available.
There was somebody that checked in, and the officer goes, "Did he have a mask on? Did he ever take a mask off?" I was like, "Comes back." No, he never did take the mask off. He says, "I'll be down there in 5 minutes to talk to you." We pulled it up on surveillance and sure as stuff, they go, "Yeah, that's him."
Mangione had been out of touch with his family for months. In November, sources tell ABC News his mother filed a missing persons report in San Francisco. The sources say investigators in Pennsylvania have started interviewing his relatives, perhaps asking about internet posts in which Mangione wrote about back pain, brain fog, and sciatica. Mangione at one point writing, "It's absolutely brutal to have such a life-halting issue." His former roommate in Hawaii said Mangione struggled with a back injury.
Unfortunately, he did let me know that the severity of his back issue was such that it was very difficult to have physical relationships with women, that it made things painful.
Mangione's case has become a cause, with admirers posting videos like this on Instagram. His X page gaining 300,000 new followers.
The person that I knew 8 years ago and the person that he allegedly has become today could not be more different.
A former classmate left stunned.
I've still been in a little state of disbelief that this kid that I knew from high school 8 years ago is now the most high-profile killer, allegedly, in the country. I would never have had anything bad to say about him.
So I can see where the potential of like him committing the crime exists, and people see certain things, him not being in touch with his family for months, him being from San Francisco and being on the East Coast. Yeah, sure, but don't all grown adults separate from their parents at some point? And that's not to say that we don't talk or reach out to our parents. I mean, my personal life's a lot different than most people, but when people are out taking care of their normal day-to-day lives and adulting and getting through this hard economy, there's times like time doesn't operate strictly off numbers and hands. It compresses and expands as it wills. That's why it seems like, you know, when it's busy, time seems to fly. When it's slow, it seems to elongate. It stretches and compresses on its own accord. Time is a man-made construct, so a lot of people don't perceive time the same, and it's not what is dictated to us, technically speaking, but we'll save that. My thing is, if that gun was 3D printed and also fitted with a silencer, why the fuck would he operate it with no gloves on? Think about it. I just want to pose that question. Why the hell would he purposely leave a 3D printed gun with his fingerprints at the scene of the crime when he utilizes a mask and a suppressor and all that heavy clothing in order to flee the scene? If somebody is an Ivy League student who has a high IQ and also a valedictorian, doesn't that seem a little fishy to you? Doesn't it seem a little fishy? Now, and also on top of that, if they didn't have his fingerprints before because he has no prior history, it wouldn't be too far-fetched for them to take and transpose his fingerprints. If you didn't notice at the beginning of the video, when the cops are all freaking taking him in, how abrasive they are with him, how fucking they're just throwing him against the wall. And then let me count it on the backside. Y'all won't be able to see the video. I'm gonna try to count how many officers real quick were taking him in. So, oh shit, wow, holy, there's more than I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, he was screaming when he went inside of the courtroom that is an injustice against the American people. Doesn't that sound like somebody who's trying to convey a message? He's not. If he was honestly guilty of this and he knew he was going to prison and he didn't care about really getting caught, he just wanted to make it happen, wouldn't you think he'd be screaming something along the lines like, that effer deserved it. They've been doing this to the people for forever and I was over it. Something along that lines. Wouldn't you expect that? No, he says his arrest is an injustice to the American people. He also stated that he believes the cops planted that evidence in the backpack and everything when he was procured at the McDonald's in Altoona. Now, given that all these mainstream media outlets are covering this and smacking in our face as he is 100% guilty of this crime, why, when Donald Trump just went through this campaign, we told you these mainstream media outlets have been persistently lying to us for years on end? If they're the ones directly giving up this information so freely, why do you believe they're doing that? Because they want to control the narrative, correct? Now, if they control the narrative, if they're the ones who put up a professional and are utilizing this fella as a patsy, would you not think that they would try to push this through as fast as possible in order to distract us, like they're doing with all this other things? The drones, sending all the money to Ukraine, the illegal immigration. We're in a chaotic time, guys. You have to respect the fact, if you said you already thought this was the case, that they might be throwing a ruse in our face. I'm just saying it's my opinion. You don't even have to agree with it. But it's very intriguing to me that everybody's just jumping on the train. Yeah, vigilante, we stand behind Luigi. Let's throw up these CEO pictures and go kill a lot more on the American people's behalf. Yeah, no, we're not doing any of that shit. That's mostly the left people doing that. And this is not justified one way or the other. People can be brought to justice by the law, and that's what it's intended for. We need to keep our eyes on this because they're trying to pull a quick one on us, and I feel they believe that we're ignorant enough to just let the sleight of hand happen. They don't want us to trust our eyes as they have been doing for years, and people are just jumping to conclusions. Like his attorney said, he found zero evidence to make any of this shit stick, and we have to presume people are innocent until proven guilty. Our justice system has gotten far away from that, and that's been evidenced by the lawfare against Donald Trump. Derp. There's something else at hand here. Let's see what else is going on. Let me flip on over. I find that portion of it trivial. I feel like the mainstream media is just attempting to find a way to tie Luigi to the X platform because we're taking away a lot of their mojus, so to speak. But I mean, Elon's right, and he's typically not incorrect. But overall, there's a lot more information to be revealed. That manifesto, dude, anybody can type anything. Anybody can, especially if you're in law enforcement. If he didn't have that, like, we know they plant documentation. It happened at Trump's house. If they want a patsy, they will find a patsy. I don't know. There's a lot of fishy stuff surrounding this story. And, like, even if he does have those problems, I'm pretty sure if he had back issues like that, how would he be able to run away across the street after the assassination, hop on that electric bike standing and or pedaling for as long as he had to get out of the frickin' city without that back issue hurting him? Think about that. We need to start using our higher faculties and our critical thinking skills. There is something sincerely wrong here, and if he's not guilty and we allow him to be prosecuted and imprisoned, we're being complicit in the downfall of an innocent man's existence. But you know, time will tell. It always does. And man, we're gonna find out. I love you guys. Be blessed and stay so.